Hey everyone, this is Deb and Scott Durfee. Welcome to the Look to Him podcast. You know, we are a blended family and we don't come with perfect lives or polished answers. We know addiction, abuse, faith, doubt, shame, and unfortunately feeling distant from God and the terrible ache of not feeling good enough. This podcast is for anyone looking for hope, healing, and a way back to Him. Thanks for being with us. We hope you enjoy this podcast.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome out to another episode of the Look to Him podcast. This is Scott Durfee, as always, joined by the marvelous and beautiful Deborah Durfee. What's up, babe?
Hi, friends. I'm happy to be here. I don't know why you always have to put adjectives in front of my name.
I'm just trying to see if I can make you embarrassed. It's not working
anymore. It's a good
anymore.
thing we don't video this.
So I'm going
because I roll my eyes now.
Well, they can actually feel you rolling your eyes. Hey, before we get started, we have a really exciting episode today that I'm excited to bring to you. But I want to just cover a couple of things before we get rolling. First of all, just a reminder: visit our website at looktohimpodcast.com. We also have an email. And the reason I'm giving you this is because we are going to start soliciting from you, our listeners, some suggestions on guests that might be well received, that you would love to hear about their relationship with deity and how they look to Him. You can send us our emails. You can send us emails at looktohimpodcast@gmail.com. Also, just a reminder, we do have a bit of a social media campaign going on. We're just trying to get the word out. So as you're seeing those on the Look to Him Facebook page and Instagram page, be sure to like and share those, send them to your friends, etc. And then just one final request, as you're listening to these podcasts on your various platforms, if you'd please just go in there and give us a review. That kind of helps things move along, and it gets the word out to those that desire to get it. I'm so excited about our episode today. We have a young lady that came recommended by one of our listeners, and we have just been so thrilled to be able to introduce to you our good friend, Ashley Arnson. Hi, Ashley.
Hi.
It's so good to have you with us.
I'm so excited.
Ashley, just a great person. We have had so much fun getting to know her, but I'm going to let you get to know her the way she wants you to get to know her. So, Ashley, for people meeting you for the first time, how would you describe yourself?
Oh, I feel like that's such a hard question because I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I've been so many different people in my life, but the person I am now and what I'm trying to be is, well, I have a company that I'm starting. I make interactive decks called Get Decked, and I love fitness. I go to Vasa all the time, and been getting into Pilates because I want to be a hot Pilates mom when I'm a mom.
A hot Pilates mom.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I need the boyfriend first before I get to the mom status and husband before that.
Hopefully some eligible ears just perked up.
Yeah. I know. If anyone was getting
need a poster picture.
So, Ashley, maybe we get to a little more core. You're obviously not in your 40s. You're not even in your 30s yet.
25.
Okay. I didn't want to ask, but I didn't want to ask. You grew up here in Utah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I grew up in American Fork.
Okay.
Went to the same school throughout.
Okay.
Went to the U for a little bit. Graduated from UVU.
Okay.
In Orem. Basically, I wasn't born here. I was born in Ohio, but raised here since I was 2.
Yeah, I gotcha. You have a great LinkedIn page. What are you working on currently? What are you excited about?
I am testing out my product right now. Right now, I'm working with a pretty big company that they're letting me kind of test it out, which is kind of fun.
Oh, cool.
And I have a call with another company on Thursday with just companies I didn't even know I could even get in the room with. And I did it by just talking to them and asking for advice, and then they were interested in it and then let me try it. So it's been fun trying to solve problems for other people and working on, does it even work? Like testing my idea with it and pushing my boundaries of my skill sets, and with AI, learning AI stuff. It's been super exciting trying to figure out what I want to do and what is going to work.
Not your typical 20-something.
No.
This young lady has ambitions galore, and
quite an entrepreneur.
Yeah, how wonderful. Ashley, what brings you the most joy in this season of your life?
Seeing progress in myself, getting better, overcoming things that have been struggles to overcome in the past.
What helps you feel most like yourself? Like when you get to when you're not at work, what makes you feel most like yourself?
You're asking me that question in an interesting time in my life where I'm trying to figure out what myself is. I have been stripping myself down to figure out like who I am at the core and what I want to be doing and what I'm good at. Like, is who I am only what I'm good at? Or like, am I defined by my weaknesses and strengths? And so I'm trying to figure out like what does make me feel most myself. I think what does make me feel the best and most fulfilled is when I am doing things, when I'm doing hard things that make me feel accomplished, that I overcame. And like I really, really enjoy going to the gym and pushing myself mentally and physically and working on hard problems and sitting through the suck enough to overcome that and solve the problem. And so I don't really know exactly.
You like a challenge, don't you, girl?
Oh, yeah, I do. But sometimes I'll overstress myself, and so trying to navigate over-indexing and under-indexing that. So I don't really know the exact answer.
So if we were to ask your very best friend to describe you, what would they say about you?
Hard. I'm like, I'll have to call them and see what they would say. I think being creative and like ideation is a really big thing about me that people gravitate towards. I think that's like that's something that people like about me, and why they like being around me is I can talk to anybody and make friends with anybody. And anytime I go to networking events, I'll start talking to everybody, and then everyone thinks I know everyone, and I don't. And so I feel like I'm really good at making people feel welcome and seen, because I like to pay attention to that, because I didn't feel that when I was a kid. And so I had to practice. I was such an introvert when I was a kid, 100%. I couldn't even talk in classes at all. And I was like, I never ever want to do that again, because that was so physically painful for me. And so now people think I'm a social butterfly, but I practiced that and became that on purpose. It's like, I wouldn't say it's an innate part about me, but I think that's what people would describe me as.
Okay. Tell me about the environment you grew up in.
I grew up in a pretty interesting household. My parents got divorced when I was 8. I'm the oldest of 4 total, so 3 younger siblings. We're all about a year and a half-ish apart from each other. And my mom had to go back to college when they got divorced. Grew up not super financially great. I also wouldn't say we were like dirt poor either, but my mom would probably almost got her car repossessed a couple different times. So like on her side.
Single mom. Yeah. That's hard.
Single mom, no college degree, going to school full time.
Yeah.
And then, or working full time and then going to school I can't remember, one of the two. And so she was just like a war horse for that time.
Yeah. What was it like spiritually in your home?
I grew up Mormon.
Okay.
And so that's what I was like born into. And I was actually very, very into the church when growing up.
Okay.
I went to church all the time. And when my parents got divorced, my mom left the church. So my mom had been away from the church since I was 8. My dad still went, but I wasn't as close with my dad growing up. So I kind of had my own relationship with the church. A lot of my siblings fell away. We all kind of took different turns.
Okay.
But all throughout junior high and high school, I was pretty into it. I'd follow the rules a lot and was the only person in my family really going.
Okay.
Until I got to college, and then I had left the church around like 18 when I went up to the U.
Okay, so when you were when you were younger, did you have a relationship with God at that time? Or was it
Yeah.
more with the church?
I would say both. I felt a lot of pressure from God as
Okay.
far as how my relationship was.
Okay.
I would pray about everything, like whether, like what hallway I should walk down in case I ran into somebody that I was supposed to help. Like I felt
You
this
were
like
really-
yeah.
wow.
No, I felt a lot of pressure of responsibility in there that it became very overwhelming. That I wasn't allowed to do things like I set super hard rules for myself with it. And
Where'd that come from, Ash? Where'd the idea that I needed to set super hard rules for myself, where did that come from?
this is something I've been trying to figure out, to be honest, because it goes along into my personal life with health and fitness, where I promise this relates. I'll circle back with it. But I was kind of like a chubbier kid, and so when my dad had told me I should probably lose weight when I was like 12, that was kind of a core part of my memory, and I felt just really, really awful when he had said that to me, and he just said it like super casually in passing one night. He was just like, "Hey, you're kind of overweight. You should probably lose weight." And I like
Ouch.
didn't, and like we had never talked about that before, and so it became this like kind of shift of I have to, like, my dad's disappointed in me, I need to perform. And so I started waking up really early to go run, and I would go run around, and I never ran before. Like, I played soccer, but like that's kind of all I did. And then
That's a lot of running.
it is a lot of running.
I've
but
watched a
I played
soccer game.
defense and stuff, and so I did, and then I was goalie for a little bit too. So I just didn't run for a long time. I didn't condition outside of it. And so then as I got into high school, I started waking up at 5 a.m., going to the gym. I would like run all the time and try to beat my mile time every single morning. And so I would just like put myself into like hard situations to prove I was good. And because I started lacrosse really late, I was one of the last people, but I was determined I wanted to be really good. I became varsity the second year I played in my like junior year. Most girls started in their fourth grade. And so it was because I practiced every single day. I would leave lunch and go practice wall ball and then do burpees if I missed. And so I like set myself up for this. And so that's what I've been trying to figure out is like I'm not sure if it's an innate thing in my personality of just these hard rules, but I felt that in with God too. And because I was rewarded for accomplishment in my family, especially with my dad, where I would get in trouble if I had an A-, whereas my brothers were fine if they had B+. And so I had a higher expectation because I was the oldest sibling. Like I had to set the example. And so I would get rewarded if I did well.
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
There's some perfectionism under
Oh yeah,
all
100%.
of this, right? I'm not a professional psychologist, but
I don't think it takes that to see
if it looks like a duck, if it quacks like a duck, if it walks like a duck, I'm no rocket scientist, but it's probably a duck, right? And that's what I kind of hear is all this perfection. Where did this perfectionism come from?
I felt so inadequate as a kid. Like I had like cool talents. I was naturally good at learning. And so I didn't have problem in school. Like I was good at school, but I had a hard time with friends. And so I was like, but I would get attention if I was good at things. And so I realized that I had to be good at things to get attention from people.
And somehow that relationship that you had with other people began to translate with your relationship with
God, yeah, 100%.
Okay. All right. Talk to me about that.
Like how
did it, so when you see God looking at you, and Ashley, I'm coming at you because I had a very similar experience. Yeah. And I still struggle with this sometimes. I grew up believing for whatever reason, and I was not taught this way and neither were you, but for whatever reason, I chose to believe that God was just there looking for me to do something wrong so he could crack me.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I ever had that feeling of I wasn't good enough for God, for him to love me. Like, it didn't feel like that. I never had in my mind the wrath of God of, I'm going to go to hell if I do something. I was never scared. I was so worried about, I guess, more of disappointing, that I couldn't live up to it, that it hurt somebody else on accident because I didn't listen to God and it ended up not working out. Not because he was punishing me, but just because I didn't meet that expectation. So I didn't feel punishment, but just disappointment.
So you were afraid of disappointing him.
Yes.
And were you afraid of disappointing your dad?
Yes.
Yeah, and isn't it interesting how those things sometimes equate, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see our figures, and, we look to Heavenly Father as a father. That's why we use the word father, right? We look to him that way. And then our earthly experience, which is really not the same, but we don't have any other way to associate to it, is to see that relationship and translate that to our relationship with deity. Mm-hmm. That can be problematic. Mm-hmm. How has that been problematic for you?
It made me distance myself from God because I felt it so heavily that it kind of affected my life, where I just felt like I couldn't do anything right, and I felt like I had to ask for permission for a lot of stuff, that I was like, is this the right thing I should be doing? Like, I couldn't trust myself anymore. I felt like I had to trust God into everything, which is what you're taught, but I felt like I didn't have control of anything, that if I turn my life to God, he's going to just, not just destroy it, but make me do a lot of things that I didn't want to do.
Right.
And I'm like, it felt like a lot. And too much responsibility I didn't want to take on. And so if I distanced, I didn't have to feel that.
Distance.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you distanced?
6 years.
6 total years. You're only 25 years old.
Yeah.
How old were you when this distancing?
I guess maybe 7 years. I was 18.
You were 18 years old?
It was right when I moved up to college.
Okay. Okay. What did that look like? What did those 6 years of distance from God, what did that look like for you?
Well, I first left because I went up to the U for college. I went to Institute, and
so let me just throw out there, we're speaking language that many of our listeners won't hear. Institute would be a religion class provided by a church, and that it was when Ashley's referring to the U, she's referring to the University of Utah.
Yes. So I went to Institute, the class with LDS focused religion class
for college students. Yeah.
And I made some friends in that, and it was fine. I was doing things as a normal college student would.
Especially at the U.
Especially at the U.
I'm just kidding.
No, I didn't even drink till I was like 22. And so I didn't even drink when I was there at all. I would just I'd have guys over, and I wasn't even doing crazy stuff, but I felt guilty when I was I feel like I shouldn't feel, I don't feel guilty for this, and so I feel guilty for not feeling guilty.
Yeah.
And so I started getting a lot of anxiety when I went to church, because I knew I was living a life that didn't align with that. And so, and I just felt like I was doing bad things when I was I don't feel like this is actually really bad. And so I distanced myself from the church because I was I want to go somewhere that I feel good and not judged at.
There was probably during that period of time a lot of self-talk happening for you, right? I mean, you're talking to yourself about what's going on and what your relationship with God looks like, or how he may be viewing you, for example, things along those lines. So while that was all happening, what did you tell yourself about God during those years that made the distance actually feel manageable?
Well, I was debating on kind of if he existed. I mean, I don't think I ever really went full God doesn't exist, because I always believe in a deity. There's something. There's no way. And so it wasn't really that. I think it was more, I wanted to go to a different type of church. And so I went to a non-denominational one that was less pressure of living a certain way, and more I got to enjoy, the music and, listening. But I kind of just rejected the notion of, I just didn't want him to control my life. So I felt better that I was I'm not controlled if he's not in it.
Yeah.
That's kind of yeah.
Yeah.
So you stepped back.
Yeah.
So that he no longer had control.
Yeah.
Okay. Was there a difference between not pursuing him and no longer caring for him? Did it change your feelings toward him?
I don't think I was ever angry at God.
Okay. But by distancing yourself, did you just say, can you just stand behind the wall and not talk to me anymore?
Yeah.
Kind of idea, maybe?
Yeah, it was kind of more just distancing, where I just didn't want the responsibility, and I didn't want to have to change.
Okay.
And so I was well, if I don't have him in my life, then I don't have to look at all my flaws
Sure.
and be humbled.
Okay.
And so it was definitely an avoidance, I think, of I just didn't want to be part of it. I wanted to kind of reject and to go into the rebellion instead of, I felt more like the prodigal son type of thing.
Okay.
Where I never hated him.
Sure.
I had a lot of fear of if I go back, I have to change a lot, and there's things don't want to have to change, that I'm not ready to give up. And so if it was distance, it was easier to like justify not giving that stuff up.
Did anyone in your family, all your friends, did they know about this spiritual disconnect?
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was doing so many crazy things. Like, my family was so worried about me. Yeah.
And so for 6+ years, tell me what that looked like. Just not in detail, but just kind of tell me what that actually looked like.
I mean, I was still focused on self-growth and stuff. I still wanted to be a better version of myself as much as I could. There was a stint in, like, 2024 where I just kind of hated my life a lot, ended up avoiding everything, went a lot of money in debt, eating disorder hospital, drinking, drugs, sex with everybody, like, literally so down there. But the thing is that I actually really wanted to believe in God. I really wanted him to be there, but without the control, and I didn't know how to separate that.
Oh, interesting.
And so I always wanted God there because I had a lot of comfort with him. And when I was in those depths, I felt so like empty and just avoiding, where I was just distancing even farther. I actually wanted to talk to God, but I didn't really know how to because I was so terrified of, okay, we're going to have to change everything. And I'm like, I'm in it. Like, I don't know how to do that. And there's a lot of stuff I don't necessarily know if I want to let go of.
So at what point did you want to let go? And you said, okay, I surrender. Or I'm going to go back to, or I'm going to choose you again, God.
It was a process.
Okay.
There wasn't like there was a one point when I realized I went too far, where I stole from a store and I was walking out and I was like, I'm getting into legal stuff now. This can actually permanently change my life. And so that was a point that I said, okay, I'm going to fork on the road. If I keep doing this, I'm going to either die or in jail, get put in jail in the next 3 months. And so I was like, I just need to stop doing this. I don't know what this other direction is, but I know this one. I know how this one ends, and I don't want my life to be like this. I was always a good girl. Like, I was never this type of person. I said, how did I even get to this point? I pick up trash on the side of the road and like do nice things for people. I'm not a thief. And so that I did something that was so against who my core identity was that I knew I wasn't a thief. So that was a point that I changed. I ended up meeting somebody, and throughout this point, I did go to sermons, occasionally non-denominational churches, and I would cry every single time I'd go. And so I knew he was there. Like, it's like I wanted it, but I wasn't ready to change, and I didn't want to, because sometimes it's nice in the suck because it's familiar, and you're like, and I can get the dopamine, but you know it's ruining your life. And so it took me meeting this guy that lived it, and I was like, you seem so happy doing what you're doing. Like, I thought that hurt me. God controlled me. Why is he not controlling you? And so I was so interested. I'm like, is it possible that I can have him in my life and not feel like I'm being controlled? And so that kind of started. It was a process throughout that, but that's kind of how I turned back.
And so what did this guy teach you, or what did this friend do or say that made you want to come back?
It was less of what he said and more of how he lived. I saw how he lived, and I just started asking more questions. He never, ever pressured me into anything. He just lived and would answer questions. He never, like, intentionally brought it up to have conversations. He brought it up if it was, he wanted to bring it up in a conversation and it was, like, applicable to what we were talking about. But he never tried to push God on me, tried to say, what you're doing isn't right. He says, you live life how you want to. This is how I live life. And he only lived as an example. And I feel like if he tried to pressure me, I would have been out of there so fast. And so the fact that he lived it and I watched how it worked is an example that God was able to talk to me through him and kind of sneakily put him in my life of what he's like, oh, 75 hard and all these other things that you like, you know? And so then I would listen because I valued what he talked about because I liked what he did. And so it was by example and by slow, or he was like, I asked him, I said, can I come to church with you? And he said, yeah. And I said, I'm thinking about maybe getting like the scriptures again or something, and then I can start reading. And I was like, yeah, no, just do New Testament. That's where it talks about Jesus the most. And so he got that, and I started journaling, and I started writing to God. And I remember the first time I had prayed to God in a long time, I don't remember, like, and when you like actually kneel on the ground next to your bed, I hadn't done that in a long time. And I sat there, and I didn't know what to say. I was silent for probably like 5 minutes, just sitting there. And just kind of tearing up of like, and I said this out loud. I was like, I don't know what to say to you. Like, I'm scared to talk to you because I'm scared you're going to control me. And I was like, just so honest that I was like, this is how I feel about you. And like, and I'm sorry that I feel like this about you, but I must understand you wrong, because how can you have him feel so liberated and he does whatever, but he loves being around you and he feels very responsible in his life, and I feel controlled. I was like, I feel like I'm seeing you wrong, but I don't know how to see you any other way. And I could just tell how patient he was with me. And I was like, I'm sorry I was gone for 6 years, that I just didn't want anything to do with you, because I wanted to live in my sin and what I wanted my life to be, even though I knew it was wrong, and it was very very much hurting me. And so there was multiple times I started talking to God more, and it was very slow. I didn't want to talk to him, but I was like, okay, like, and I started just kind of writing more and asking him about things. And he started talking to me so quickly. Like, he was just so ready to, like, talk to me. And my friend's like, how does he talk to you? So he's like, I've had a relationship way longer. Like, he's like, why doesn't he talk to me the way he talks to you? He's like, I'm so jealous about that. And, like, and so it's definitely been a journey, but there are just a lot of little moments where I just will tear up and I'll talk to him, and I can feel him there, and I feel so close to him now. And I see him now more as a creative God rather than a disciplinary God. And my friend sees him more as a disciplinary one, actually. But he's like, it's kind of like a parent, how parents parent their kids differently. Where he's like, he's a lot more stern with my friend and doesn't talk to him as much. But he's like, but it works for him. He enjoys that. Like, he likes that type of parenting from God for him. But mine's not as disciplinary, because I'm like, that hurt last time. And so now it's a lot more creative because I have a creative heart and mind. And so he orchestrates things, and I'm like, and I want to bless people because I have that gift of talking to people and making people feel included and inspiring people with my story and like, and my thoughts and things like that. And so I like this other version. I've had to kind of relearn who he is by reading the scriptures, understanding him better, and how I would kind of, I guess, want him to kind of parent me a little bit. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah. And I think that's an interesting view on it, of he parents us differently, because I'd never thought of that before. But I think we all have different needs, and he knows that. We all learn differently, and he knows that. We all feel differently. We often hear about God looks upon the heart, and he knows your heart. He knows all of our hearts. So that's an interesting way to look at that. I love that, Ashley. What would you say to someone who does not feel like they could move towards him right now, that maybe feels that same way you felt when you knelt down and said, I don't know what to say? What would you say to someone who is in that same situation?
Something that I learned, because the change was the thing I didn't want to do.
Right.
And something that I learned as I stepped closer to him is that Christ's light doesn't change you. It just sheds everything that you're not.
I love that.
And so realizing that when you start stepping closer to God, you're going to have to let go of things, but they were never things that who you actually are in the first place. And he doesn't force you to put it down. That's the thing, is I thought when I started going towards him that he was going to tell me I should let it all go. No, he doesn't tell you that. When you start going towards him, you naturally don't want it anymore. And so, like, I never felt like, oh, I shouldn't be drinking, I shouldn't be doing this other stuff because I'm talking to God now. It was, I don't want to anymore. And I realized that as I was letting go of things I was gripping on so hard, scared he was going to take away, that as I let go, he doesn't tell you to put it down, but in order to kind of go to him, you naturally let go because you want to hold on to him instead.
That's beautiful.
And so he won't ever tell you to. And I mean, so he talks to people differently, but he didn't tell me to. He just said, hey, hold my hand. And I decided that I was like, oh, I want to hold onto like his rope, his hand instead, and naturally let go of it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't feel as painful because you're like, that wasn't me in the first place. And you just become more actually of who you are. Like, I feel more myself, even though I'm still trying to figure that out. I feel more myself now than I did back then. I realized I thought I was trying to be myself and trying to be original by doing all of stuff. I was like, I was just getting worldly attention. It wasn't actually who I was. And I feel way more me now. So, like, I was so scared that God was going to change me to be who he wanted me to be. But he actually just changed you into who I want to be also.
It's because you're in alignment with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it just, I never understood the concept of being a child of God until you realize that you actually have godly powers inside of you. And like that, you can get a whole quantum physics conversation about that. But when you realize you actually have like godly power inside of who you are, because you actually are a divine child of God, there is so much more you can do when you can tap into that power, but you can't if you don't have a relationship with him. Because then you're just doing it all in the physical realm. You don't have any divinity with you. And so, and it goes into manifestation and all this other stuff that I've been getting into, which has been super interesting. But at the core, he sheds the worldly things about you. And so if I was talking to somebody, I would just tell them, don't worry about putting anything down right now. You don't need to change. Just start understanding God. Just start learning. That's not going to hurt you. Just start understanding who is God, and go curious, and then you'll naturally let go of things that don't align with you and your relationship with him.
You know, I have a concept of that. When we leave his presence, we are dismembered from him. And when we're down here, we have a remembering with him, which goes beautifully with exactly what you just said about we all have godly characteristics because we are divine beings. Mm-hmm. We are his children. That's eloquently said.
So, Ashley, we're kind of winding down. And as we kind of wind down, one of the main things that I've taken from you is just hope. You know, you're an inspiration. You bring a lot of hope. You bring a lot of light where once there felt like darkness. You know, there may not have been the darkness that we perceived. We just talked about him being in constant pursuit of you, which shed light for sure. But during that period of time, when you felt distant, when you felt alone, when you felt like there was just nobody listening or nobody to listen or was confused about what all of that looked like, a lonely, potentially, time in your life, that was a potentially confusing time in your life, maybe there was some darkness that ensued during that time in your life. Many of our listeners are going through those same times. what would you say to encourage them?
I mean, I think it's honestly baby steps. But I feel like each of us has light in us regardless of where we are in the path. And I recently had this written conversation with God where I've been really scared to be more open about my kind of person I have, like social media, and then also just like talking about stuff. And he told me, and I know it was him because there's no way I'd come up with this banger of a quote, but he says, "Why hide your light in fear of others' darkness?" And I was like, that's awesome.
Say that one more time.
He said, "Why hide your light in fear of others' darkness?" And he also said, "You can only heal others' darkness through your light." And he's like, "But you can't if it's not showing." And so, like, no matter where they are, you have light in you. Like, no matter how dark you feel, God has light to give you too. And so if you just start taking it, like I have a necklace on me with the mustard seed, because that's what it took for me. It was just faith of a mustard seed that I was like, I only have a little bit. Like, I'm sorry, God, I don't have a ton to give you because I don't know. But that little tiny seed has inspired so many other people that is not because of me. It's God's light shining and talking to other people. I talk sometimes about my experience in sacrament meeting or other times, and I have so many people. I had people come up to me in Costco later that day that I didn't even meet. They're like, "I heard your testimony. I just want to tell you it resonated with me." Like, no one does that. Like, no one goes up, like, especially at a Costco later. And it's all been through him, all because of the little seed of mustard seed. And people need to not, like, doubt their own light and their own inspiration, that when you get closer to God, you inspire so many other people. So do not dim your own light. You have it. It's there. Do not dim it in fear of others' darkness. And you can inspire other people to get out of their own darkness by shining yours, but only if it's lit. Like, you can't if it's not. And God's the only person that can light your light for you and make it brighter and do it so much brighter than you could ever do by yourself. And so go towards the light. Sounds kind of funny, but like,
as they say,
Like Bug's Life.
Yeah.
Don't go towards light.
Ashley, you just brought up something really important that Jesus taught, and he taught this in Matthew chapter 5, verse 14, where he says, "You are the light of the world. A town that is built on a hill cannot be hidden, neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light so shine. In the same way, let your light so shine before others that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father, which is in heaven." His light shines through you, sweetheart.
Thanks.
His light shines through
I hope
you.
so.
We knew that the first day we met you, and it's been so great to have you.
The purpose of this podcast is to remind people that wherever they are and however distant they may feel, the invitation to look to him is still there. So, Ashley, if God could say one sentence to every person listening today to this podcast who feels they have gone too far, gone too long, or too ashamed to come back based on what you have personally experienced of him, what do you believe he would say?
Come home. I miss you. He's way more welcoming than you think. He's not trying to berate you. He's just waiting. Like, right when you turn, he's right there. That's what I think you would say.
We love you.
I love you guys too.
What a great day to look to him. We have been able to do that through our sweet friend Ashley, and we would just encourage us all to continue to look to him. Thanks for being with us, everybody. We'll see you again next time, and until then, look to him.